Oh, hon.
Oh, close it.
I go. Oh yeah.
Oh
Close
no.
it. Oh man. Oh, get a bucket. Get the bucket.
Oh.
What's going on, guys? Cassie from Jeep Gear and Gadgets, and welcome back to the channel. If you have been watching the LS swap videos, you know that the LS is pretty much ready to go. Now this week I had a bunch of new parts come in. I've got a wiring harness and a computer over here. I've got a lot of goodies from Advanced Adapters and an LS swap radiator from Flex-Lite. Now I'm going to be talking about all of that stuff in future videos, but now that all of these parts have finally come in, it means I can finally start taking the old engine out of the LS. So out of the LJ. We're gonna start taking the 4.0 out of the LJ. So I have cleaned out the garage right here. I gotta swing the LJ in and get ready to go.
And it's New Year's.
And it's New Year's Eve, which means it's pretty much the best way I think we could bring in the new year.
Starting off the new year.
Starting out a V8 swap.
If only we could finish the whole swap in one day.
In one day, not happening. But I know you guys have been waiting long enough, so let's get to it.
You know the fireworks?
That was fireworks. So the goal is to get the LJ in here kind of sideways. It's gonna be a tight fit, but if it's in here sideways, we have enough room to pull the old engine out and put the new one in with plenty of room to work. Got the Jeep in the garage. An important thing to remember when doing an engine swap is to make sure you have enough room in front of your vehicle for your engine hoist to slide in, you know, wrap up your engine, transmission and everything, and pull it out because it's gonna take up a lot of room. But I think we got enough room here to work with. Now, this isn't going to be a step-by-step video. I'm not gonna show you step-by-step how to remove your old engine. It's honestly, like, we're not gonna be reusing a lot of parts from this, but what we are going to be reusing, or anything that's important, I will be sure to let you guys know. Now, the first thing I need to do is drain my oil and my coolant. So let's get started. Ah! Oh, it's just a mess.
It's gonna be a big mess.
Now that I've taken a coolant bath.
Go pop the cap.
Hon.
Close it a little bit.
Just going on the upper control arm and just splashing everywhere. Now that the floor is covered in coolant, I thought it'd be a good idea to mix oil in with that. That's pretty good. Ain't bad. Now that I got both of those drained and made a big mess, I can move on to doing stuff underneath the hood. So we're gonna remove both of the battery terminals, these support struts, the air intake assembly, and a bunch of these hoses that we no longer will need. So I got all that stuff off. Next I want to get the grill and the radiator removed. So I've removed all the radiator hoses, the transcooler line. Now I'm disconnecting all the wires, or just taking off all the wires that are connected to the grill so I can pull this off as one. There we go. Once Ben and I got the grill off, I kind of opened everything up for us to go in there and start taking things off. So we got the power steering off, AC lines, a bunch of hoses and some other stuff removed, which I think we're in a good place now to call it a night, because next, beer 30, and it's New Year's Eve. It is clear, it's not quite close to midnight, but next is gonna be getting under the Jeep and disconnecting the drivetrain. So our drive shafts, our skid plate, the exhaust, gotta disconnect all of those. And then next is just kind of pretty much time to hoist the engine out of the Jeep. And I think we're gonna do all of that tomorrow. So I'm calling it a night, gonna go get a snack, and see you in the morning. Now that I'm under here, I'm gonna support the transmission, remove the skid plate, disconnect both drive shafts, and remove the exhaust, and then gonna remove the transmission and transfer case shifters. Now, hopefully when I'm putting all this back together, I won't be using this old factory skid plate. So let's get all this off so we can get one step closer to getting this engine out.
Fancy footwork you got there.
Thank you, thank you. Just finished disconnecting everything under the Jeep. One thing I do want to note is that we did have to cut the wiring that went from like the wiring harness down back to the fuel tank because there was no connector. So we had to cut that, have to rewire it up later. Now next is going to be coming in here and just kind of finishing up the last pieces we need to take off. We need to disconnect the fuel line, unplug the computer, and unplug the wiring harness. And then after that, we'll probably bring the hoist over and just make sure everything's undone and get this thing out of here. Ow!
You good?
Just the first of many
Battle
cuts.
scars. Oh, that was
Got
tight.
it. All right, just 2 more.
All right. Oh, that was a lot.
That was much easier. Got it. I think that is it. We're gonna roll the hoist over, take a little pressure off the engine and loosen the motor mounts, and if we got everything, this thing's coming out. Two things we realized when trying to pull this motor out was, one, you do have to remove the motor mounts all the way. You can't just take the bolt out and hope that it kind of comes out. Ours got stuck. And second, Ben and I debated on this because we were both like on opposite sides. Remove the bumper and winch, just because when you're trying to pull out the motor, just kind of depending on how wide your hoist is, it's gonna come over here and hit. So we went ahead and removed the motor mounts and the winch and bumper. And now we have a nice clear shot of hopefully pulling this thing out completely.
One more tip. Just go ahead to give yourself the extra room. Put the bolt through the chain like all the way down here. That way you can at least max it out.
Yeah, because we're close to maxing out our height. So if we had like a couple chain links like higher up, we would have been good.
It's going higher.
I also told these things go up pretty high, so I think we're okay.
I'm gonna be the one to pull it now.
Get out of here.
Oh, we're hitting something.
Transmission hit. All right, let's get it out. Cameron, you gotta come over here. Okay. Just like that, the engine is out of the Jeep. Pulled out the engine, transmission, and the transfer case all in one swoop. Now, some people will remove the transfer case first, but I thought it'd be easier to have it out here so we have access to everything. Now, out of this setup, we're going to be keeping the transfer case and the wiring harness because we're going to be using a good portion of this wiring harness on the new setup. And we're also going to grab the oil pressure sensor and the coolant sensor as well because we're going to be using those on the LS. Now, we have 3 engines that are not in vehicles in this garage right now. We have the nitty, we have the LS, now we have the 4.0. Need to find somewhere to set this in the garage because we are running out of room fast.
We could put it back in.
Not happening. It is too late. It will see. We're putting something else in it. So we are going to be selling some of this stuff for pretty much everything we're not using, which is
a lot. Except
the wiring harness and the transfer case. Someone has spoken for the 4.0 already, but I will let you know if that falls through and what else we got for sale. So, Transmission.
Full LJ. Automatic.
Let me know. Let's lower this down some and get this transfer case off. Oh, hon.
Close it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Close
no.
it. Oh, man. Oh, get a bucket. Get the bucket.
Oh. I thought.
What?
Oh, that's the transmission fluid. I'm a dum-dum.
We didn't look. Oh, guys. Who said, hey, we should take the transmission fluid out? Me. Me.
Oh, no. Oh, you think it'll just evaporate in a couple years?
Right, I would just like to say that.
Leave it here for a couple years.
On.
Oh, man.
All right, if we all just abandon the house and
there was a murder.
move the engine and there was just bloody transmission fluid everywhere. Then let's just watch it seep into everything.
I feel like there's nothing I can do.
We don't have any like
That's a lot. It's like 7 quarts.
It's
like 7 quarts.
We live in an older neighborhood, okay? Someone has to have cat litter. We'll be back. So we parked the engine right over here. It is now out of the way. I think night 2, I'm gonna call it a wrap and call it done for the night. I wanna go through some of this footage, see how much I have, and see what else I could squeeze into this video. All in all, from start to this point of the swap, we've been working for about 5 hours probably total, and that's including a little bit of filming here and there. So you could probably knock it out if you're just gonna go out one night and do it. You could probably maybe do it all in one night.
Probably do this all in one
Yeah,
night.
start around like 6, finish around 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
probably way
buddies
sooner.
Come out and help.
Pizza, beer.
That makes it go longer.
No pizza, no beer. So I'm gonna go in, check this stuff out, see how much footage I have, and might see you tomorrow morning. There are a few more things I want to talk to you guys about before I end this video. So I have the engine over here on the hoist. The next step would be to sell the engine and sell the transmission. But before we do that, we need to make sure we take the Jeep wiring harness off, because we are going to be using the Jeep wiring harness in this swap along with the GM wiring harness. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some tape and mark what sensors and plugins we're going to be keeping and which ones we aren't going to be keeping. And the ones that we're not going to keep, we're going to end up cutting them off. And that's because we don't want two wiring harnesses like fully loaded, like all the pieces under the hood. It's just going to get clunky. So we want to cut those off. Now we're going to do a completely separate video on wiring, because that's a whole video in itself. But I do want to tell you guys kind of what we're keeping from this Jeep wiring harness, because we are taking it off of the old engine, and this is kind of like, this is like demo day almost, right? We're kind of taking everything out, kind of going to take what we need from this old engine, from this old setup, and bring it over to the new stuff. So I'm going to go get Ben. He's going to help me explain what we are going to be keeping, because he is the brains behind this operation when it comes to the wiring. He's more of the wiring expert. I understand what we're doing for this swap, and I'm still wrapping my head around all of it because it's very, very complicated. So I'm gonna go get him, and he's gonna help me out with this part. So the goal for the wiring is to have the GM computer control the GM engine, okay? And then the Jeep computer is going to be controlling like the internal, like the gauges and the internal controls, but also kind of controlling the GM computer. So I'm gonna let Ben kind of dive in here just a little bit and talk about what we're going to be keeping from this old wiring harness. Got a pretty list here so we don't forget, because
before we talk about all this boring stuff, wiring is most people's most feared part, especially when it comes to swap, because we're doing a lot of stuff. We're trying to make a GM computer work with the Jeep computer and run a completely different engine and transmission in there. There's a lot to it. Gonna have to be an entire separate video on how to do that.
It will be its own video.
Before we get rid of this, I guess the big thing, what are we keeping on this wiring harness?
First off, the cam and crankshaft sensors.
Boom. So I'm not too sure about the cam sensor yet. I don't think we'll need that, but I don't want to tell anybody to cut it yet. But the crankshaft sensor, the big one for that, is if we want to use the factory dash, the RPM gauge, our tachometer, we're going to have to get an emulator. Like Novak sells them, and it kind of changes the GM output of the engine RPM to a usable reading for the Jeep computer to go to the dash. And of course, we're going to use the crankshaft wires that go to the dash for that. So we're going to tap into that at a later date. So save that.
And then the oil pressure sensor and the coolant temp sensor, we're going to keep both of those because we have adapters on the GM engine. So we're going to be able to kind of plug those in, and it's going to read right to our dash.
That's an easy one. So we're just going to move those sensors and
plug them in.
Plug them in over there.
AC. Important one in Southern Texas.
This one I put stars by there just because it depends. If you want to keep AC after the swap, you're gonna have to keep all of your AC wires. So like your pressure switches, everything else that was going to your AC system, keep those intact. There's still gonna be a lot of other stuff we have to do to make a 5.3 AC system work in the Jeep, but keeping those wires is definitely gonna help.
The grounds, just keep all the grounds that are already on there. You don't know what's grounded to what, so.
Yeah, so like on the passenger side of the 4.0, there's like 10 grounds that go to the block. And unless you really wanna trace out each ground wire and see what circuit it's part of, keep them all. It won't hurt to have all the grounds on there.
Yeah.
EVAP, this is a big one. So everybody that wants to do this swap, if you have like a smog inspection in your state, you have to keep the EVAP system. On ours, we are not keeping the EVAP system, but if you do have to, there's a few different ways around it. You can either use the GM EVAP system, or you can use like partial of the Jeep EVAP system. But if you live in one of those states, keep your EVAP system on your Jeep, or at least the wires, and you're gonna have to buy a harness, an engine harness that has an EVAP option. So like the one we're using doesn't have that. We're not required to have it here in Texas. I don't know. It's registered in Alaska. Long story.
It's
long story. We'll talk about that later.
So the starter plug.
Starter plug. So not talking about the actual like battery cable that goes down to the starter, but the actual female little toggle that slips on the starter. When you turn your key, that's what tells the starter to start. Keep that.
Yep. And then our transmission range sensor.
Ooh, this is a good one. Has a few things.
Yep.
It plugs into the transmission, and it tells the computer what gear it's in. Not necessarily for shifting, but for starting. You have the neutral safety switch, so you can only start it in park and neutral.
Yeah.
We're going to retain that function. There's ways to bypass it, but if you let somebody borrow your Jeep and they start in gear and hit somebody else's car in front of them, that's not a good thing.
I think it's a good safety feature to keep.
Yeah, it is. It also The transmission range sensor also is what has our reverse lights come on. So when you put in reverse, it tells the computer, hey, turn on my backup lights. You definitely want that.
Yeah.
But the transmission range sensor, that's going to be a complicated part because we want the Jeep computer to think there's still the factory transmission down there. But so we're going to have to kind of splice it in, all of those wires, to the 4L60E or whatever transmission you're running on the swap. Not too complicated, but there are some steps.
Now, last but not least is going to be both of the transfer case sensors. So one of those sensors is the one that tells your dash if you're in 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low, 2-wheel drive, etc. So we're going to be keeping that sensor, and the other one
is going to be for the speedometer. So on the back of the transfer case, on the TJs, LJs, XJs, all of those similar model years, that is what feeds your speedometer. So as you guys can tell, like a lot of the stuff that we're keeping for this, keeping on the wiring harness isn't really necessary to run the engine. It's mostly to make the Jeep happy.
Yeah.
We could throw away this wiring harness and do like a buggy setup with like little switches to turn on the Jeep, aftermarket gauges, aftermarket reverse lights with a switch. There's a lot of different ways to do this swap, but if you want to keep the functionality and like kind of interior of your Jeep, this is what we're gonna have to do.
It's like the budget-friendly way to do it.
Budget-friendly and nice and clean.
So before this drags on into a wiring video, we are gonna be talking about wiring in its own video. It is obviously a very lengthy topic, and I think it's something that people need to know to do the swap. It's like kind of the biggest fear point, right?
I think there's like a few, there's not too much info online. For some reason, nobody really likes to talk about the wiring, and I understand why.
And Ben has the heart of a teacher, luckily, so he's going to tell all of us, luckily, about the wiring, how to do it. So
cool. Let's see, how long was that? 5 minutes.
Guys, we lowered that. The first take took like 12 minutes.
So for those of you that watch my videos,
the
first time we did this, I was talking and Cassie's like, Ben, you're doing your thing.
And it was good info, but we are going to have another video. Don't worry, Ben will talk your ear off in like maybe 2 videos from now about wiring, and I'm going to be listening in too, because some things I don't actually know. But it's not a lot, I know more than him. And that wraps it up for this video, guys. Coming up next is going to be the part where we connect the transmission to the engine and also the transfer case to the transmission. So we've got the GM 4L60E transmission sitting right over there.
We got 3 transmissions.
Just lined up in a row.
Nag
here.
1, GM, 8-speed, boom.
So we are going to be doing that. We also have to connect the transfer case to the GM transmission. So we are keeping the Jeep transfer case. It's sitting right over here. And this box full of advanced adapter parts are what's gonna help me put all of this together. So that's it for this video, guys. I got a Dodge Charger video coming out soon as well. Keep an eye out for that. As always, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and my name's Cassie. Keep Jeeping classy.